Welcome everyone to Bookaccino Live for July. It's Wednesday, July 9th, and we are looking forward to this presentation. We have so many terrific books for you for the rest of the summer. Oh my gosh, we have so many good things lined up. First, let's talk about your top picks from the June afternoon presentation. First, it was The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau by Kristen Harmel. The Lost Baker of Vienna, which is coming in August from Sharon Kurtzman. Wally Lamb's The River is Waiting. Lisa Jewell, Don't Let Him In. The Lost Masterpiece by B.A. Shapiro. The Nantucket Restaurant by Pamela Kelly. And Before Dorothy by Hazel Gaynor. And we have the picks from the evening presentation. And we presented different books in the evening presentation because we did for the whole summer. So if you see things here and you're like, well, that I didn't see that last month, here's why. So we've got The Lost Baker of Vienna by Sharon Kurtzman as number one. The View from Lake Como by Adriana Trigiani, which is out this week. Out next week is The Unraveling of Julia by Lisa Scottolini. We've got Typewriter Beach by Meg Wade Clayton. Under the Stars by Beatrice Williams. Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. And William Kent Kruger's Apostles' Cove. And we love seeing what the groups are most interested in reading. And we frequently are talking about this. Okay, we feel like we understand our audience just by seeing things like this. Okay, so we're going to start with fiction. I'm going to start with Culpability by Bruce Holsinger. This is Oprah's latest book club pick. I read it over the weekend and it is really terrific. There is so much in here to think about. Okay, so here's what we've got is the Cassidy Shaws have an autonomous minivan and they're on vacation and they collide with an oncoming car. While this is happening, 17-year-old Charlie is in the driver's seat. His father, Noah, is riding shotgun. In the back seat, tweens Alice and Izzy are on their phones, while their mother, Lorelei, a world leader in the field of artificial intelligence, is absorbed in her work. Yet each family member harbors a secret, implicating each of them in the accident. During a week-long recuperation on the Chesapeake Bay, the family confronts the excruciating moral dilemmas triggered by the crash. But Lorelei's odd behavior tugs at Noah's suspicions that there's a darker truth behind the incident. Suspicions heightened by a sudden intrusion of Daniel Monet, a tech mogul whose mysterious history with Lorelei hints at betrayal. This is one of those books that once you start reading, a really, really compulsive read, and definitely great for book club conversation, simply because you want to sit there and say, well, what's AI? What is the definition of what's happening here? It's going to be a book reporter bets on selection, and I'm trying to get an interview with Bruce as well. Next, we've got Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild. This is on sale this week, and it's one of our summer reading titles. In fact, the contest for this is up today. So you have till tomorrow at noon to enter to win one of 5 copies of this book. So Honor seems to have everything. She adores her bright and beautiful daughter, Chloe, and her charming, handsome husband, Tom, even if he works 100 hours a week. Yet Honor's longing for another baby threatens to eclipse all of it until a shocking event changes their lives forever. Years later, Tom makes a decision that ripples through their family's lives in ways he never could have foreseen. As the consequences of that faithful choice unfold, 2 women's paths become irrevocably intertwined. When old love clashes with new, who'll be left standing, and what happens when your secrets come back to haunt you? So that's Finding Grace. Next, we've got The Homemade God by Rachel Joyce. It's also on sale this week, and it was one of our book group speed dating titles. If you see that down on the bottom, it's one of the titles that publishers talked about when we did our speed dating event back on June 13th. So we wanted to make sure that we brought these into the presentation for you too, because they're books that publishers are very, very excited about. So this is really, it could be true right now. There's a heat wave across Europe, and 4 siblings have gathered at their family's lake house to seek answers about their father, a famous artist, who recently remarried a much younger woman, decamped to Italy to finish his long-awaited masterpiece. Now he's dead, and there's no sign of his final painting. As the siblings try to piece together what happened, they spend the summer in a state of lawlessness, living under the same roof for the first time in decades, forced to confront the buried wounds they incurred as his children and waiting for answers. And though they've always been close, The things they learn that summer about themselves and their father will drive them apart before they can truly understand his legacy. And meanwhile, their stepmother's enigmatic presence looms over the house. So we've got the homemade god. Next, we've got These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean, also out this week. Alice Storm has been welcome at her family's magnificent private island off the Rhode Island coast in 5 years. Not since she was cast out and built her life beyond the Storm name, influence, and untold billions. But the shocking death of her larger-than-life father changes everything. The second larger-than-life father, for those of you who are taking notes. Alice plans to keep her head down, pay her final respects, such as they are, and leave the minute the funeral is over. Unfortunately, her father has other plans. The eccentric, manipulative patriarch left his family a final challenge, an inheritance game designed to upend their world. The rules are clear. Spend 1 week on the island, complete their assigned tasks, and receive the inheritance. But a whole week on Storm Island is no easy task for Alice. It will be a miracle if she manages to escape unscathed. Next, we got Vera or Faith by Gary Scheingart, and that is also out this week. When the Bradford Schmolkin family is falling apart as the pressures of life in an unstable America are fraying their bonds. There's Daddy, a struggling, cash-thirsty editor whose Russian heritage gives him a surprising new currency in the upside-down world of 21st century geopolitics. His wife, and Mom, a progressive, underfunded blue blood from Boston who's barely holding the household together. Their son Dylan, whose blonde hair and Mayflower lineage provides him a place of pride in the newly forming American political order, and young Vera, half Jewish, half Korean, and wholly original. Vera only wants three things in life: to make a friend at school, for Daddy and Mom to stay together, and to meet her birth mother, Mom, who at last will tell Vera the secret of who she really is and how to ensure life's love survival in this great, mad, imploding world. So there we've got Vera or Faith. Next, from Adriana Trajani, we have The View from Lake Como out this week. Let's see if I can do this one. Jess Capodimonte Barada is not living the life of her dreams, not even close. In blue-collar Lake Como, New Jersey, family comes first. Recently divorced from Bobby Bilianca. She really kills me with these names. And I'm Italian. Bilianca. Yeah, I'm going to go to her event just to have her show me how to pronounce these. Jess moves into her parents' basement to hide and heal. Jess is the overlooked daughter who dutifully took care of her parents, cooks Sunday dinner, and puts herself last. Despite her role as the family handmaiden, Jess is also a talented draftswoman in the marble business, run by her dapper Uncle Louis, who believes she can do anything once she invests in a better wardrobe. When the families endure an unexpected loss, the shock unearths long-buried secrets that will force Jess to question her loyalty to those she trusted. Fueled by her lost dreams, Jess takes fate into her own hands and escapes to her ancestral home, Carrara, Italy. This is one of our word of mouth titles this week. We've got this pod contest, I think, actually running for 3 weeks, where if you jump on and tell us what you're reading, you're eligible to win one of 3 copies of The View from Lake Como. Next, we've got Greenwich by Kate Broad, which is coming out on July 22nd. Summer 1999. Rachel Fisk is almost 18 when she arrives at her aunt and uncle's mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her glamorous aunt is struggling to heal from an injury, and Rachel wants to help and escape her own troubles back home. But her aunt is oddly spacey, and her uncle is consumed with business. Rachel feels lonely and adrift, excluded from the world of adults and their secrets. The only bright spot is Claudia, a recent college graduate, an aspiring artist, and the live-in babysitter for Rachel's cousin. Summer deepens. Rachel eagerly hopes their friendship might grow into more. But when a tragic accident occurs, Rachel must make a pivotal choice. Caught between her desire to do the right thing and to protect her future, she's the only one who knows what really happened, and her decision has consequences far beyond what she could have predicted. So there's Greenwich by Kate Broad. Next, we've got Maggie, or A Man and a Woman Walk into a Bar by Katie Yee. This is on sale on the 22nd. Man and a woman walk into a restaurant. The woman expects a lovely night filled with excess plates of samosas. Instead, she finds her husband is having an affair with a woman named Maggie. In short while after, her chest starts to ache. She walks into an examination room where she finds out that the pain in her breast isn't just heartbreak, it's cancer. And she decides to call the tumor Maggie. Unfolding in fragments over the course of the ensuing months, Maggie, or A Man and Woman Walk Into a Bar, follows the narrator as she embarks on a journey of grief, healing, and reincarnation. Next, we've got That Last Carolina Summer, coming from Karen White. As a child, Phoebe Manigault developed a gift of premonition after she was struck by lightning in the creek near her Charleston home. Plagued throughout her life by mysterious dreams and always living in the shadow of her beautiful sister Addie, Phoebe eventually moves to the West Coast, as far from her family as possible. And now, years later, she's summoned back to South Carolina to help Addie care for their ailing mother. Phoebe's return lures her back into deep-rooted tensions and conflicts. She's drawn towards Celeste, whose granddaughter went missing years ago. Their connection, woven through shared losses and hope, brings comfort to Phoebe, while Celeste's adult grandson, Liam, resurrects complicated emotions tied to Phoebe's past. But the longer Phoebe spends in her childhood home, the more her recurring nightmares intensify, bringing her closer to the shocking truth that irrevocably will change everything. This is one of our summer reading titles. I think it might be going up on July 22nd, that contest, but you really have to keep track to see what happens. Next, we've got A Dog in Georgia by Lauren Grodstein. And you know her of the author of We Must Not Think of Ourselves. On sale on August 5th. Amy Webb is a chef, or rather, she was a chef. Somewhere along the way, she also became a wife and a stepmother and an emergency contact, and the part of her life that was a chef disappeared entirely, along with her sense of self, which is why she is currently in the Republic of Georgia, on a mission to find a lost dog named Angel, and more importantly, the life's purpose she once took for granted. For months, Amy has escaped by watching YouTube videos of Angel walking the children of Tbilisi to school. But Angel goes missing, and Amy volunteers to go help find him. Who is Amy, after all, if she's not taking care of other people? But to her surprise, Angel proves elusive. And while she does make friends in a number of ways with stray dogs, she finds Tbilisi is entirely human. She happy in her marriage? What happened to her career? Why doesn't she ever cook anymore, even for herself? So there we've got A Dog in Georgia. Next, we've got Full Bloom from Francesca Saratella. She is the best-selling author of Ghosts of Harvard, and she's also Lisa Scottolini's daughter. So those of you who recognize the name of the two of them together. This is also one of our summer reading titles. I believe the contest for it is going up on August 5th, but you'll have to keep watch. Reeling from a breakup and overlooked at her job as a lighting designer, Iris Sundgren finds herself stuck, disconnected and lonely in crowded New York City. Then a mysterious neighbor, an older French woman, makes her a gift, a bespoke fragrance. One spritz, a dab behind the ears, and Iris feels like a different woman. Suddenly, she's the object of every man's desire, and she can satisfy her own hungers for sex, love, and ambition. She can cast off her inhibitions and use her newfound allure to dazzle the high-profile client, attract a man who excites her like no other, and access all the rarefied spaces that once excluded her. Invigorated by the perfume, Iris embodies her maximum power, a flower fully bloomed. But there's danger in connecting to our primal emotions. Scent awakens buried memories, and nightmares of the childhood house fire that Iris barely survived return to haunt her. There we've got Full Bloom. I love that cover. Next, we've got People Like Us by Jason Mott, who's the National Book Award winner of Hell of a Book. It's coming on August 5th. Two Black writers are trying to find peace and belonging in a world that is riven with gun violence. One is on the global book tour after a big prize win, and the other is set to give a speech at a school that has suffered a shooting. As their two storylines merge, truth and antics abound in equal measure. Characters drink booze out of an award trophy, Menaces lurk in the shadows. Tiny French cards putter round the countryside. Handguns seem to hover in the air, and dreams endure against all odds. Next, we've got some historical fiction, starting with Daikon by Samuel Hawley, which is out this week. War has taken everything from physicist Kaizo Kan. His young daughter was killed in the Great Tokyo Air Raid, and now his Japanese-American wife, Noriko, has been imprisoned by the brutal thought police. An American bomber downed over Japan on the first day of August 1945 offers the scientist a surprising chance at salvation. The Imperial Army dispatches him to examine an unusual device recovered from the plane's wreckage, a bomb containing uranium, and tells him that if he can unlock its mysteries, his wife will be released. Desperate to stave off Japan's surrender to the Allies, the army will stop at nothing to harness the weapon's unimaginable power. They order Khan to prepare the bomb for manual detonation over a target, a suicide mission that will strike a devastating blow against the Americans. And there we've got Daikon. Next, we've got Wayward Girls by Susan Wiggs. It's out on July 15th. In 1968, we meet 6 teens combined at the Good Shepherd, a dark and secretive institution controlled by the Sisters of Charity nuns. They include Marin, a fierce-spirited daughter of Irish immigrants committed to keep her safe from her stepfather; Angela, who was denounced for her attraction to girls and was sent to the nuns for reform, but instead she found herself the victim of a predator; Helen, the daughter of intellectuals detained in communist China, who saw her temporary stay at the Good Shepherd stretch into years; Odessa, who was caught up in a police dragnet over a racial incident, but she found the physical and mental toughness to endure her sentence; Denise, who was sentenced for brawling in a foster home and dared to dream of a better life; and Janice, who couldn't decide where her loyalties lie, except when it came to her friend Kay. So there we've got Wayward Girls. Next, for Beatrice Williams, we've got Under the Stars, coming on July 29th. Audrey Fisher has struggled all her life to emerge from the shadow of her famous mother by forging a career as a world-class chef. Meredith Fisher's glamorous screen persona disguises the trauma of that tragic accident that haunts her dreams. She has one last chance to sober up and salvage her big comeback. And where else but discreet, moneyed Winthrop Island can a famous actress spend the summer without the intrusion of other people? Until Audrey discovers an old wooden chest among the belongings of her estranged bartender father, and the astonishing contents draw the women deep into Winthrop Island's past and its many secrets. How did a trove of paintings from one of America's greatest artists wind up in the cellar of the Mohegan Inn? And who is the mysterious woman portrayed on every canvas? We've got Under the Stars. I love the blue and the reddish pink in that cover. We've got This Here Is Love by Princess Joy L. Perry. Tom Donadio and I had the pleasure of hearing her speak about this book at a luncheon a couple of months ago. It's coming on August 5th. As the 17th century burns to a close in Tidewater, Virginia, America's character is wrought in the fires of wealth, race, and freedom. Young Bless, the only child left to her enslaved mother, stubbornly crafts the terms of her vital existence. She stares on the lone bulwark between her mother, and irreparable despair, her mother's only possibility of hope, as Bless reshapes the boundaries of love. David is a helping child and a solace to his parents, and he gives a purpose to their trials. His survival hinges on his mother's shrewd intellect and ferocious fight. But his sustenance is the freed Black father's dream of emancipation for the entire family. Jack Dane, a Scots-Irish boy, sails to Britain's colonies, where his father sells him into indentured servitude as an escape from poverty. And there, Jack learns from the rich the value of each person's life. It's a beautiful cover as well. Let's do some thrillers and mysteries. Okay, we've got Fast Boys and Pretty Girls by Lo Patrick, which was our summer reading contest book yesterday. Following a semi-successful career as a teen model in New York City, Danielle Greer has moved back to the mountains of North Georgia and is living in her childhood home with her husband and 4 daughters. One stifling, lazy afternoon, the girls are exploring the ravine behind their house when they come across a boy. No, a body. I'm sorry, not a boy, a body. Danielle knows the body doesn't belong to Benji Law, a young local misfit who she had an illicit relationship with as a teenager. No, his body was found after he was killed in a motorcycle accident on the road in front of her family's house. Danielle has a good idea who the body might be, but she doesn't know how it got here. When local police officer Caddy Benson is called in to investigate, Danielle's world is turned upside down and she is thrust back into those dark, confusing days leading up to Benji's death. There's Fast Boys and Pretty Girls, and it is by the author of The Floating Girls and The Night the River Wept. From Martin Cruz Smith, we've got Hotel Ukraine, also out this week. This final installment of Martin Cruz Smith's celebrated Arkady Renko series, the legendary Moscow investigator seeks to solve the murder of a diplomat as Russia's invasion of the Ukraine wears on and the effects of Arkady's Parkinson's disease worsen. Helped by his lover, journalist Tatiana Petrovna, Arkady traces the murder to a Russian paramilitary group aided by a government official who also used to be romantic partner of Arkady's. Before long, those responsible for the killing looked to similar dispatch Arkady and Tatiana, all of it leading to a thrilling and action-packed climax. Next, we've got Our Last Resort by Clemence Michelin. I just got a note about this book right before I came to do this presentation, and the publicist was saying, "Oh, just remember this is out today." And I love when they send notes like that, especially about a book we already have in the presentation. And Tom knows what I mean by that, because sometimes we're playing catch up, going, "We missed that book," but we're on top of this. Frida and Gabrielle arrive seeking a fresh start at the Sunning Ara Hotel in the secluded desert of Escalante, Utah. They've grown apart in recent years after a sudden, unspeakable tragedy. And now at the Lux Resort, they feel they're ready to reconnect between dips in the pool and hikes on spectacular desert trails. It all feels like a paradise until the dead body of a beautiful young woman who was vacationing at the Ara with her powerful, much older husband is discovered. When the local police arrive and suspicion quickly falls on Gabriel, Frida is forced to revisit memories from their upbringing in a cloistered cult in upstate New York, their dramatic escape, and the scandal that followed. Frida's belief in Gabriel's innocence never wavered at the time, but now even she can't ignore the evidence mounting against him. And there's Our Last Resort. Next, from Ruth Ware. We remember her as the best-selling author of The Woman in Cabin 10. Well, now we've got The Woman in Suite 11. It's out this week. When the invitation to attend the press opening of a luxury Swiss hotel owned by the reclusive billionaire Marcus Leidman arrives, it's like the answer to a prayer. 3 years after the birth of her youngest child, Lo Blacklock is ready to reestablish her journalism career and hopes she can snag an interview with Marcus. Fortunately, he proves to be even more difficult to pin down than his reputation suggests. When Lo gets a late-night call asking her to come to Marcus's hotel room, she agrees, despite her own misgivings. She's greeted, however, by a woman claiming to be Marcus's mistress, and in life or death jeopardy. What follows is a thrilling cat-and-mouse pursuit across Europe, forcing Lo to ask herself just how much she is willing to sacrifice to save this woman, and if she can even trust herself. So there's The Woman in Suite 11. From Daniel Silva, we've got his annual book, and this time it's called An Inside Job, coming on July 15th. Gabriel Alone has been awarded a commission to restore one of the most important paintings in Venice. But when he discovers the body of a mysterious woman floating in the waters of the Venetian lagoon, he finds himself in a desperate race to recover a lost masterpiece by Leonardo da Vinci. The painting, the portrait of a beautiful young girl, has been gathering dust in a storeroom at the Vatican Museums for more than a century, misattributed and hidden beneath a worthless picture by an unknown artist. Because no one knows that the Leonardo is there, no one notices when it disappears one night during a suspicious power outage. No one but the ruthless mobsters and moneymen behind the theft, and the mysterious woman who Gabriel found in a watery grave in Venice. A woman without a name, a woman without a face. So there we've got an inside job. Next, we've got The Lake Escape by Jamie Day, also coming on the 15th. Julia, David, and Erica grew up together, spending summers at the idyllic Vermont lake homes for as long as they can remember. And now adults, the three friends have amassed secrets over the years. This summer, David is eager to show off his newly renovated home, which now blocks his friend's cherished lake views, and his much younger girlfriend. He also unwittingly brings a nanny with a hidden agenda. When David's girlfriend mysteriously vanishes after a shouting match, Julia and Erica wonder just how well they knew their lifelong friend. The lake harbors a harrowing past. Two young women with no known connection vanished without a trace 30 years ago. Did the lake take another? As a search is mounted, an intricate web of lies, deceits, and betrayals spanning generations starts to surface, and everyone finds themselves in danger of being the next victim. And Jamie's the author of The Block Party, which was a best selection for me a couple of years ago. Next, from Lisa Scottolini, we've got The Unraveling of Julia, which is also coming on July 15th. I finished this last weekend. It's absolutely terrific. It's a Book Reporter Bets On selection, and there will be a contest going up for this book that comes out around July 15th. The contest will happen, so you got to keep your eyes on the site, and either that or sign up for the Summer Reading newsletter to make sure you don't miss a chance to win this book. Lately, Julie Pritzker is beginning to feel she's cursed. She's lost her adoptive parents, then her husband is murdered. When she realizes that her horoscope essentially foretold his death, she begins to spiral. Then a letter arrives out of the blue informing her that she has inherited a Tuscan villa and vineyard, but her benefactor is a total stranger named Emilia Rossi. In Tuscany, Julia is horrified to discover that Rossi was a paranoid recluse with delusions of grandeur who believed herself to be a descendant of Duchess Caterina Sforza, a legendary Renaissance ruler. Julia is stunned by her uncanny resemblance to Rossi and even to Caterina, and then she unearths eerie parallels between them. Before long, Julia suspects that she's being followed and strange things begin to happen. What I love about this is it's got a fabulous setting in Italy that really comes to life. Lisa's been chronicling on Facebook Live every Monday night background with videos of what her research about the book. It's absolutely terrific. And I will tell you that when you're reading this book, you feel like you're there eating the food and the wine. It was a lot better than what I was preparing for lunch when I was sitting around those days. Just really, really gets you right in the spirit of what was going on in Italy. So there's her psychological thriller. Next, we've got The List from Steve Berry, a different book for Steve because it's a standalone. After a 10-year self-imposed exile, Brent Walker is returning home to Concord, a quaint town in central Georgia, nestled close to the Savannah River. 2 years ago, his father died, and now Brent, hired by the Southern Republic Pulp and Paper Company, as its assistant general counsel, is returning to care for his ailing mother. Southern Republic's success is based largely on a highly unorthodox and deadly system to control costs, known only to the three owners of the company. Now one of them, Christopher Bosen, has had a change of heart. Brent's return to Concord, a move that Bosen personally orchestrated, provides his conscience with a chance at redemption. So a plan is set in motion, one that will not only criminally implicate Bosen's two partners, but also will place Brent square in the crosshairs of men who want him dead, with only one course left available. So there's the list. Next, from Sherry LaPena, who I call my one-sit read. Once I start reading her book, I don't get up until I finish. It is She Didn't See It Coming is the latest book. I'm definitely leaving this for a day when I don't have anything else to do and I'm going to stand in the pool and read it. It's on sale on July 29th. Bryden and Sam have it all: thriving careers, a smart apartment in a luxury condominium, supportive friends, and a cherished daughter. And then Sam receives a call at his office. Bryden, who was working from home that day, has failed to collect their daughter from daycare. Arriving home with their little girl, he finds his wife's car in the underground garage. Upstairs in the apartment, her laptop is open on the table, her cell phone nearby, her keys in their usual place in the hall. So Bryden is no longer nowhere to be seen. It's as if she just walked out. How could she have disappeared from her own home? Or did she even leave the building at all? So there we've got She Didn't See It Coming. And Lucy Foley said it's stunning with whiplash twists and turns. Next, we've got You Belong Here by Megan Miranda, another summer reading choice. It's coming out on July 29th. Beckett Bowery never thought she'd return to Wyatt Valley, a picturesque college town in the Virginia mountains steeped in tradition. Her roots there were strong. Beckett's parents taught at the college, and she never even imagined studying anywhere else until a tragedy, her senior year, ended with two local men dead and her roommate on the run, never to be seen again. For the last two decades, Beckett has done her best to keep her distance, and then her daughter Delilah secretly applies to Wyatt College and earns a full scholarship, and Beckett can only hope that her lingering fears are unfounded. But deep down, she knows that Wyatt Valley has a long memory and that the past isn't the only dangerous thing in town. What's really interesting about this is You Don't Belong Here was Megan was out looking at with her daughter at colleges. And I just can't think that this is where she was getting the idea for this book of what if you had to go back to the town where something happened before? So it's sometimes like how life intersects with your fictional world. I'm looking forward. I want to try and do an interview with her and talk about it. Next, we've got Last Seen by J.T. Ellison coming on August 1st. Hallie James knows her marriage is over, but she's not prepared for the rest of her life to fall apart too. She's lost her job at the forensics lab, her dad needs emergency surgery, but the biggest blow comes back home in Marchburg, Virginia, where she discovers her mother didn't actually die in a car crash. Mom was murdered, and her father lied about it all these years. Desperate for the truth, Hallie chases down a lead in Brockville, Tennessee. But all there is not as it seems, which usually happens in thrillers, as we know. Brockville's utopian charm hides a chilling darkness, and Hallie's search for answers threatens to expose an unspeakable reality. Next, from Sarah Pekkanen, we've got The Locked Ward. Again, a summer reading selection. It's coming out on August 5th. It's the crime of the decade when glamorous Georgia Cartwright, who was adopted as a newborn, is accused of killing the biological daughter of her wealthy Southern family. Georgia's locked in a psychiatric institution where the most violent offenders are held while she awaits trial. The only words she whispers when her estranged twin sister Amanda visits are, "I didn't do it. You've got to get me out of here." Amanda doesn't trust Georgia, but you can't abandon her in a place so eerie and menacing that it seems to exist in another dimension. Is Georgia the victim of a powerful family that's so depraved that murder is the least of their crimes? Or is Amanda being led down a path of madness into the web of a master manipulator? Here we've got The Locked Ward. Next, we've got some memoirs, biographies, and other nonfiction. Starting with The Idaho Four, An American Tragedy by James Patterson and Vicki Ward. It's based on hundreds of exclusive interviews, the definitive account of the murders of the four unforgettable college students by a cold-blooded killer. Now, what's really interesting is this book came out right about the time where the killer said he is guilty. And supposedly, Brian Kohlberger wants to do that to avoid the death sentence. So we've got this story bubbling up like right at this time. We've got murders of four innocent college students attending the University of Idaho left us all with so many questions. And now, after 300 interviews, James Patterson and prize-winning journalist Vicki Ward finally have some answers. We know what it was like to live in Moscow, Idaho, on November 13th, 2022, the day of the cold-blooded killings. We know what the police and the FBI did right and what they did wrong. We've learned so much about the four heartbroken families, the Mogans, the Goncalves, the Kernodles, and the Chapins. We have the backstory for Brian Koberger, a brilliant grad student, loner, and a parent incel. Now you are the jury, the evidence is in. Now, the one thing that has happened is by him proving, saying that he is guilty, he doesn't need to tell the story of what he did that day and whether he did go back later in the day. And there's so much swirling around still what happened that night. Was he after just one person and others got caught along the way? That's the way it seems. But I don't, it'd be interesting to see what they've unfolded by doing all this research as well. Next, we've got Empire of the Elite by Michael M. Grinbaum. It's coming on July 15th. I am reading this right now. It's Inside Condé Nast, the media dynasty that reshaped America. I worked at Condé Nast for 17 years, and I overlap with some of the decades that he is talking about here. And it is amazingly interesting reading, especially for someone who spent so much time there and has followed the company after that. So for decades, Condé Nast and its glittering magazines defined how to live the good life in America. The beautiful, complicated, striving characters behind Vogue, Vanity Fair, The New Yorker, GQ, Architectural Digest, and many other titles manufactured a vision of luxury and sophistication that shaped consumer habits, cultural trends, intellectual attitudes, and political beliefs the world over. Its billionaire owner, Cy Newhouse, and his stable of star editors, photographers, and writers were the gatekeepers who decided what and who mattered, and they offered those opinions to tens of million readers every month. Empire of Elite was full of fresh behind the scenes reporting about a plethora of bold faced names and sets out to explain how Condé Nast established itself as the de facto American aristocracy, anointing an elite and dictating the culture they presided over. Very interesting reading. When I started there were 5 magazines. When I left, there were 15. I say that I feel like I went to graduate school watching how they moved the company around and the things that they did, buying magazines, selling magazines, changing, bringing in editors. The one thing that was really interesting is when you got called up to Cy Newhouse's office on the 14th floor, you never knew if you were getting a promotion or being fired. All these people lived like really in the spotlight of what was going on. And there was much given to them along the way, apartments, loans that were interest free, many, many, many different things happened along the way. And then the internet happened. And if, my opinion, if they'd listened to one person among their group, they would have been on tap with that, like much more quickly, and maybe been able to save more of what the empire was. I was at a friend's house the other day, and I think that the magazine was about this thick, the Vanity Fair. It's completely changed, especially since the internet came along. Next, we've got A Flower Traveled in My Blood by Haley Colin Gilliland. It is on sale on July 15th. In the early hours of March 24th, 1976, the streets of Buenos Aires rumble with tanks as soldiers seize the presidential palace and topple Argentina's leader. The country is now under the control of a military junta which holds power until 1983 and decimates a generation. One of the military's most diabolical acts is kidnapping hundreds of pregnant women. After giving birth in captivity, the women are disappeared, and their babies are secretly given to other families. For mothers of pregnant daughters and daughters-in-law, the source of their grief is twofold: the disappearance of their children and the theft of their grandchildren. A group of fierce grandmothers formed the Abuelas de Plaza de Mayo, dedicated to finding the stolen infants and seeking justice from a nation that betrayed them. This is really interesting because this is something I knew absolutely nothing about. And to find that somebody's done the research and bringing this story to us, it was so interesting. Next, we've got JFK, Public-Private Secret by J. Randy Taraborelli. It's coming on July 15th. More than the story of a presidency, this is an intimate study of a man whose public triumphs were shaped and at times overshadowed by the complex realities of his private life, from his legendary family to his marriage to Jacqueline Kennedy. The book draws from hundreds of hours of interviews conducted over 25 years, as well as a candid first-hand oral histories from the John Fitzgerald Kennedy Presidential Library, rare internal reports from the Secret Service, detailed files from the National Archives, and intelligence documents from both the CIA and the FBI. JFK never been before captured by history, brilliant yet fallible, revered yet human, a figure whose legacy continues to shape America and the world. Next, we've got The Knowing by Tanya Talaga. This is one of our book group speed dating titles as well. It's coming on the 15th. For generations, Indigenous people have known that their family members disappeared, many of them after being consigned to a coordinated system designed to destroy who the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people are. This is one of Canada's greatest open secrets, an unhealed wound that until recently lay hidden by shame and abandonment. The Knowing is the unfolding of history unlike anything we've ever read before. Award-winning and best-selling Anishinaabe author Tanya Talaga retells the history of her country as only she can through an Indigenous lens, beginning with the life of her great-great-grandmother, Annie Carpenter, and her family as they experienced decades of government and church-sanctioned enfranchisement and genocide. So there we've got The Knowing. Some September titles to look forward to. I can't believe we're talking about September already. Start with Please Don't Lie by Christina Baker Klein and Ann Burt. Yes, you know Christina Baker Klein. And now she's sitting here writing a thriller with one of her friends. 2 years ago, Haley Stone lost everything. First, her parents died in a devastating fire. Then her sister overdosed, leaving Haley alone and hounded by a media circus that turned her family's tragedy into tabloid fodder. When her new husband suggests a fresh start in the Adirondacks, the promise of anonymity in an isolated mountain town feels like a salvation. But the mountains hold darker secrets than she ever imagined. Her once loving husband grows distant and volatile. The widow down the road keeps spewing vague accusations. Not even their new friends, a free-spirited couple living on the property, can help Haley shake the creeping sense that something is off. As winter edges closer, Haley discovers that her sanctuary is anything but safe. Trapped and isolated, she faces a terrifying truth. In trying to escape her past, she may have run straight into something that is far more dangerous. And I'm running into the guys who do the lawn on Wednesdays. Great. Okay, from William Kent Kruger, we've got Apostles' Cove, which is coming on September 2nd. A few nights before Halloween, as Cork O'Connor gloomily ruminates on his upcoming birthday, he receives a call from his son, Stephen, who is working for a nonprofit dedicated to securing freedom for unjustly incarcerated inmates. Stephen tells his father that decades ago, as the newly elected sheriff of Tamarack County, Cork was responsible for sending an Ojibwe man named Axel Boshi to prison for a brutal murder that Stephen is certain he did not commit. Cork feels compelled to reinvestigate the crime, but that's easier said than done. Not only is it a closed case, but Axel Boshi is inexplicably refusing to help. The deeper Cork digs, the clearer it becomes that there are those in Tamarack County who are willing once again to commit murder to keep him from finding the truth. So there we've got Apostles' Cove. Next, we've got The Improbable Victoria Woodhull, coming from Eden Collinsworth on September 2nd. It's an interesting story. In 1894, a remarkably self-possessed American woman with no formal education to speak of stood before a British court seeking damages for libel from the trustees of the British Museum. It was yet another stop along the unpredictable route that was Victoria Woodhull's life. Born dirt poor in an obscure Ohio settlement, Woodhull was the daughter of an illiterate mother entranced by the fad of mesmerism, a therapeutic pseudoscience, and a swindler father whose cons exploited his two daughters. It was through her mother, though, that Woodhull familiarized herself with the supernatural realm, earning a degree of fame as a clairvoyant and her first taste of financial success. Despite a deeply troubled first marriage at the age of 14, Countless attempts by the press to discredit her, and a wrongful jail sentence, Woodhull thrived through sheer determination and strength of her bond, the strength of her bond with her sister Tenny. She co-founded a successful stock brokerage firm on Wall Street, launched a newspaper, and hold for this, folks, became the first woman to run for president. So there you've got the story of Victoria Woodhull. Next, we've got Whatever Happened to Laura Lovely by Sarah McCoy. It's coming on September 2nd. In 1969, 23-year-old starlet Laura Lovely, the apple of Hollywood's eye, shocked the world by ditching a promising film career to take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience as a Benedictine nun. Gossip columnists and scandal sheets can't get enough of the story. Why would such a beautiful girl take the veil? Was she hiding from someone? Did it have anything to do with the tragic death of her co-star, heartthrob Louis Wesley? In 1990, Lou Tibbett is under the gun to complete her senior thesis in modern American history. Instead of spending weeks in the dusty archives, Lou decides to dig into a true 20th century mystery and write about her Aunt Laurie, now Mother Abbess in a cloistered convent in rural New England. Mother Laurie has refused all requests for interviews until Lou arrives at the Abbey with a tape recorder in hand. To her delight, Mother Laurie announces she's finally ready to talk, but only if Lou is really ready to listen. So there's What Happened to Laurie Lovely. From Elizabeth Gilbert, we've got All the Way to the River. I think this is like a gorgeous cover, seriously. You know her as the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and Big Magic. It's coming on September 9th. In 2000, Elizabeth Gilbert met Rhea. They became friends, then best friends, then inseparable. When tragedy entered their lives, the truth was finally laid bare. The two were in love. They were also a pair of addicts on a collision course towards catastrophe. What if your most beautiful love story turned into your biggest nightmare? What if the dear friend who taught you so much about your self-destructive tendencies became the unstable partner with whom you disastrously reenacted every one of them? And what if your most devastating heartbreak opened a pathway to your greatest awakening? So there we've got All the Way to the River. Next from Hank Philippi Ryan, we've got All This Could Be Yours, coming on September 9th. Debut sensation Tessa Calloway is on a whirlwind book tour for her instant bestseller, All This Could Be Yours. In a different city every night, Tessa receives standing ovations from adoring fans, while her husband Henry and their two children cheer her on from their brand new dream house. But there's a chilling problem with Tessa's triumphant book tour. She soon discovers she's being stalked by someone who's obsessed, not only with sabotaging her career, but also destroying her perfect family back home. Tessa fears the fallout from the impossible decision she once made, what felt like a genuine a deal with the devil, appears to be coming true. And she's realizing that every high-stakes bargain comes with a high-stakes price. Tessa can't untangle who's threatening to expose her darkest secrets, but she'll lose her career, her family, and possibly her life. So Nita Prose said this is propulsive, a twisty, and wholly absorbing thriller. Can't wait to read it. Next, we've got Crooks by Lou Berney, coming on September 9th. For Buddy, a low-level mob-wise guy, and Lillian, a charming pickpocket, criminal underworld is the only life they've ever known. When they're forced to flee the glittering Babylon of Las Vegas, they end up opening a club in Oklahoma City. Along for the ride are their 5 children, all of whom were raised in the family business of crime, until the day comes when they each have a chance to make their own way in the world, even if they can never completely escape the family's long, dark shadow. Jeremy, the family's golden boy, will throw himself into the glittering excesses of a drug-fueled Hollywood in the roaring 1980s. Tallulah, the daredevil, will find herself in the deadly Wild West of post-communist Moscow. Ray, the dumb muscle since he was a kid, wants nothing more than to put down his gun, but following orders is all he's ever known. Alice, the genius, who renounced her life of crime long ago, now sees her white shoe law firm being blackmailed and must tap into old skills to save both the company and her life. And Piggy, A civilian, always on the outside looking in on his crime family, is desperate to be part of the gang. So here you've got a novel about crime and family. Next from Jeffrey Deaver and Isabella Maltonado, we've got The Grave Artist coming on September 9th. A wedding reception is coming to the close in the Hollywood Hills when the blissful day is shattered by the death of one of the newlyweds. Though the incident appears to be an accident, Homeland Security investigations agent Carmen Sanchez and her partner, security expert Jake Herron, discover that tragedy is the third in a series of similar deaths and conclude something more sinister is at play. The two uncover chilling evidence pointing to a serial killer who has taken evil to the next level. Dubbed the honeymoon killer, the man isn't interested in his victims, but in creating his own macabre masterpiece from their graves, focused on the survivals and reveling in their grief. And now his dark obsession has turned to Carmen and Jake. The honeymoon killer has decided they are the perfect next target. Take one out and delight as the other one crumbles. Time is running out as a guilty game between predator and prey begins. So they've got The Grave Artist. Next from Dan Brown. You remember that guy, Dan Brown? The guy who wrote the Da Vinci Code? Yeah, remember all that years ago? We haven't heard from him in a while. He's got a big book coming on September 9th. And when I say big, I think it's 600 pages long. Funny story, Dan Brown story. Years ago, I moderated a panel, and there was one guy who came completely prepared, ready to talk about his material, everything completely like under control. And the next year, he wrote the Da Vinci Code. And I said to somebody came up to me and said, "You know this guy?" And I said, "I do." They said, "Yes." I said, "He was on the panel last year." I said, "Oh, you mean the one that came completely prepared and was ready to do the panel? That's Dan Brown." So it was really funny. I knew him before he was Dan Brown, and he was absolutely lovely to work with. So here we've got Robert Langdon. Remember him? He is the esteemed professor of symbology, travels to Prague to attend a groundbreaking lecture by Catherine Solomon, a prominent noetic scientist with whom he has recently begun a relationship. Catherine is on the verge of publishing an explosive book that contains startling discoveries about the nature of human consciousness and threatens to disrupt centuries of established belief. But a brutal murder catapults the trip into chaos, and Catherine suddenly disappears along with her manuscript. Langdon finds himself targeted by a powerful organization and hunted by a chilling assailant sprung from Prague's most ancient mythology. As the plot expands into London and New York, he desperately searches for Catherine and for answers. In a thrilling race against dual worlds of futuristic science and mystical lore, Langdon uncovers a shocking truth about a secret project that will forever change the way we think about the human mind. So there we've got The Secret of Secrets. I think 600 pages, so get ready for that, folks. Next, from Elin Hilderbrand and Shelby Cunningham, who is her daughter, we've got The Academy coming on September 16th. Remember last year, Ellen said she was no longer going to write her Nantucket series, but she didn't say she was not going to write again going forward. So here's what we've got. It's move-in day at Tiffin Academy. Amidst the happy chaos of friends reuniting, selfies uploading, and cars unloading, shocking news arrives. America Today has just ranked Tiffin the #2 boarding school in the country. It's a 17-spot jump. Was there a typo? The dorms need to be renovated. Their sports teams are always come in last place. And let's just say Tiffin's students are known for being more social than academic. On the other hand, the campus is exquisite, and they do have fun with lots of parties and school dances. But just as the rarefied air of Tiffin is suffused with self-congratulation, the wheels begin to turn and they fall off the bus. One by one, scandalous blind items begin to appear on phones across Tiffin's campus, thanks to a new app called ZipZap. And nobody is safe. As the year unfolds, bonds are forged and broken, secrets are shared and exposed, and the lives of Tiffin's students and staff are changed forever. I guess ZipZap is going to be the next thing after TikTok. I'm sure those plays on words there. Next, from Don Winslow, we've got The Final Score coming on September 16th. In 6 all-new short stories, Don Winslow serves up a collection of tales sure to delight his most devoted fans and first-time readers. The multi-million-dollar casino heist is impossible. That's what makes it irresistible to a legendary robber facing the rest of his life in prison for his final score. An ambitious, hardworking, college-bound teenager has a side job delivering illegal booze to the Sunday list until a cricket cop, a seductive customer, and a fake guru threaten to end his dreams. Two wise guys tell each other a true story over breakfast at a diner. It's all laughs until someone has to pick up the check. An otherwise honest patrolman must make excruciating choice in the North Wing. The entitled substance abuse addicted movie star that surfer P.I. Boone Daniels and his crew are hired to babysit in the lunch break is a problem. She also has a problem, and someone wants her dead. And finally, the one terribly momentous mistake that a devoted family man makes sends him to prison and on a collision course between the man he wants to be and the killer he's forced to be to survive. What's really interesting is when you look at this and you look against full-length novels that somebody's written, it's trying to figure out how they wrote short when you're used to writing long, and how does the short story get you in and out as quickly as it does. Stephen King said this is the best fried fiction I've read in 20 years. So there's your story, folks. Next, we've got Midnight Burning from Paul Levine. And many of you will probably remember him for thrillers that he's written through the years. And this is an Einstein-Chaplin thriller. It's coming on September 16th. In 1937, clouds of war gather over Europe, and American fascists march at home. While the FBI chases suspected communists, Nazi agents plot an armed insurrection. When the world's two most famous men, Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin, uncovered the scheme, which includes the assassinations of Hollywood's biggest stars, they fight back with nothing but their ingenuity, raw courage, and the fierce resolve of Georgia Ann Robinson, the LAPD's first Black female officer. A dangerous chase takes our heroes into the heart of darkness, a fascist encampment in the San Gabriel Mountains north of LA, where a militia armed with machine guns plans its attack. It's brains versus brawn, an explosive, unforgettable finale. From Ken Follett, we've got Circle of Days, and you know him as the author of The Pillars of the Earth. This is coming on September 23rd. Seft, a talented Flint miner, walks the Great Plain in the high summer heat to witness the rituals that signal the start of a new year. He is there to trade his stone at the midsummer fair and to find Neen, the girl he loves. Her family lives in prosperity and offers Seft an escape from his brutish father and brothers within their herder community. Joya Neen's sister is a priestess with a vision and an unmatchable ability to lead. As a child, she watches the midsummer ceremony, enthralled, and dreams of a miraculous new monument raised from the biggest stones in the world. But trouble's brewing among the hills and woodlands of the Great Plain. Joy's vision of a great stone circle assembled by the divided tribes of the plain will inspire Seft and become their life's work. But as a drought ravages the earth, mistrust grows between the herders, farmers, and woodlanders, and an act of savage violence leads to open warfare. So we've got Circle of Days. And next we've got What We Can Know by Ian McEwan, coming on September 23rd. 2014. At a dinner for close friends and colleagues, renowned poet Francis Bundy honors his wife's birthday by reading aloud a new poem dedicated to her, A Corona for Vivienne. Little does anyone gathered around the candlelit table know that for generations to come, people will speculate about the message of the poem, a copy of which has never been found and remains an enduring mystery. Let's go to, I believe it's 2119, over 100 years in the future. Much of the Western world has been submerged by rising seas following a catastrophic nuclear accident. In the waterlogged south of what used to be England, Thomas Metcalfe, a lonely scholar and researcher, longs for the early 21st century as he chases the ghost of one poem, A Corona for Vivienne. When he stumbles across a clue that may lead to the elusive poem's discovery, a story is revealed of entangled loves and a brutal crime that destroys his assumptions about people he thought he knew intimately well. And this is the author of Atonement. From Richard Osman, we've got The Impossible Fortune. It's a Thursday Murder Club book. It's been a quiet year for the Thursday Murder Club. Joyce is busy with table plans and first dances. Elizabeth is grieving. Ron is dealing with family troubles, and Ibrahim is still providing therapy to his favorite criminal. But when Elizabeth meets Nick, a wedding guest, asking for her help, she finds that the thrill of the chase is ignited once again. And when Nick disappears without a trace, his cagey business partner becomes the gang's next stop. Seems the duo has something valuable, something worth killing for. Joyce's daughter Joanna jumps into the fray to help the gang as they seek answers. Someone kidnapped Nick, and what is this uncrackable code that they keep hearing about? Plunge back into action once more. Can the four friends solve the puzzle and a murder in time? There's the Thursday Murder Club. Okay, so we've got some notable paperbacks releases coming out this month. All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker is now available. Kate Quinn's The Briar Club is available. Come Get It by Kylie Reed. Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner. The Days I Loved You Most by Amy Neff. Michael Crichton and James Patterson's Eruption. Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. William Kent Kruger's Spirit Crossing. Didion and Babbitts by Lily Annalik. Like Mother, Like Daughter by Kimberly McCrate. Bad Liar by Tammy Hogue. And The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. You see the last four latter ones are available on the 26th through the 29th of July. So note that these are out there now as well, or to come soon. I have picked 23 so far, bets on selections. The three on the right are ones I have not written about yet. All the others I have written about. I did a furious four bets on writing right before we took our break, so that I could feel like I could be on vacation. So I finished The Unraveling Julia while I was away, and Culpability, and Lost Baker of Vienna I've read earlier. It's coming in August. So here, recent Book Reporter Talks to videos and podcasts. It's Janine Cummins' Speak to Me of Home, Kara Ruta's Jill is Not Happy, Julie Clark's The Ghostwriter, and Lori Foster's The Guest Cottage. Oh, these are the books that we're giving away. The prize book right now is Finding Grace. The deadline to enter is by tomorrow at noon. So if you hop out onto the site after this, you can enter to win that book. And also, if you tell us what you've read in our monthly word of mouth contest, you can win copies of two of these books. The first is Don't Let Him In by Julie Sajul, and the second is The View from Lake Como by Adrian Trigiani. You've got to enter by Friday, July 11th at noon. Tell us what you've read. Tell us what you've read and what you like about it. Give us a couple of lines about it. We like to see what you're reading in word of mouth, so don't hesitate to jump out there to do that. And we've got a Bookaccino Live book group event coming up the end of this month with J. Courtney Sullivan. She's going to be discussing The Cliffs, a Book Reporter bets on pick that's now available in paperback. Join us on Wednesday, July 30th at 8 o'clock, and sign-ups available right now on Book Reporter and Reading Group Guides. Just so you know, we were not going to do an event in July, and one of our readers reached out to us and said, she's seen Jane Courtney Sullivan at an event the night before, and she said, would you ever think about having her? So immediately reached out, put out the invitation. She said yes. And my only question was, do I call her Jay or Courtney? And the publisher, laughing, I'm sure, at this, said, you can call her Courtney. So, you can call me Al, you can call me Courtney. So there we've got her coming on the 30th. You still have time to read this book. It's terrific. I really enjoyed it when I read it last year. I will share that the paperbacks has a different cover. As we saw with a lot of the paperbacks that you saw on the previous slide, a lot of times they do change that simply because they think that it will resonate more with an audience if the cover is changed at the paperback time. Our next Bookaccino Live book preview event will be on August 13th, and we'll be talking about books coming out from August 12th through September 2nd, and a peek ahead at October. Oh my gosh, I have to be thinking like Halloween or something when I do this one. So that'll be on Wednesday, August 13th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We look forward to having you join us then. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you found something to read, discuss, and really be able to share with others as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.